Beautiful. So now I want to move us to a second archetype, which is called Mission Impossible. So we bid thank you and farewell to the rebel. So now Mission Impossible is someone that wants to exert high levels of express control. So they want to micromanage everything, but they don't want anyone to tell them what to do. Not open for following, not open for feedback. So it's I know what I'm doing. I'm going to handle everything. I'm going to have my hands in everything and micromanage everything. But don't you dare tell me I'm independent, Mr. Mazen. If you experience a leader like this, what is the impact on the organization and people around them?
This is pressure. This is burnout. This is exhaustion. This is fatigue. This is actually what we start to speak about it, those depressive moods. Because to exert control and micromanage every single thing without being open for feedback, as if we're saying, I want to be the whole company. I want to be processing everything that's in the company. It's an organism, a body. I want to do all of those, but I will not gonna receive any feedback loop to what's really happening. It creates so much pressure. Imagine a normal mechanistic machine, a vessel that is doesn't have a feedback loop, that does everything constantly, and doesn't, like, even a car has a temperature, and you know what's happening. It brings the temperature so high because you cut from the feedback, the resources, the understanding, the signals telling you where you'll be going. Having said that, all those profiles are not wrong and are not bad. All those profiles are needed in different scenarios. Sometimes it's super important to be in that mission impossible. Literally, look at the name, mission impossible. And you need those executive leaders to do the impossible mission. And that's why lots of boards, sometimes you see them changing a CEO, bringing one for a while, solving the mission, and tell the CEO, thank you. So again, those archetypes are useful, but the beauty is we can change our archetype based on our environment. So if we cannot adapt, these types will be used for a different stage in the evolution of a company. But if we adapt, we can remain with that company. So again, those archetype, this our specific archetype is very, very, very good in times of crisis, in times of there's mistrust in the system, something is shaky, something has happened. So you bring a person like this, it will micromanage a little bit, see where the issue, open it, dissect it, not trusting because, and then not receiving feedback because the board tell them go full on. But once the mission became possible and has been solved, this archetype, which is nothing but a pattern or behavior, has to be changed. And most of the time, when those very efficient people don't change, funny enough, the same board that brought them will make them leave.
And that absolutely coincides with everything I've seen and studied. Is um, actually when we look at again startups, these are tend to be the more successful archetypes or profiles. Rebel leaders and Mission Impossible tend to be pretty good startup founders because
Mm.
again the rebel is more really good with ambiguity and yeah, they're more selective in what they do, but if they do choose to do something they can do it, but it's a little bit more of the fluid profile, very empowering. The Mission Impossible gets stuff done, but exactly what you said is the moment they fulfill their function, if they cannot adapt to a different style, it becomes very difficult to work with those individuals. So typically what you'd like to see in a bigger corporate setting is more adaptive behavior or more just moderate behavior. You're kind of in the middle. So you're both okay handling some things, being a bit hands off at times and delegating, at times being in there again, doing this oscillation, right, between delegation and managing. And then on the flip side, you're okay sometimes being a follower, sometimes being okay with ambiguity. So finding that middle space, that sweet spot in a kind of more bigger corporate setting. But startups are unique and I think a little bit of a pressure kind of container by its virtue. So it takes a little bit, because it's an extreme environment at times, it takes some extreme behaviors to make them successful. And so that's the question for each one is, am I basically like a functional player, like a role player? You bring me in for a situation, or am I a situational leader that can be around for a longer period of time? So either you're there for the situation or you're situational and can be there for a long period of time. Krisana, if we talk about that kind of mission impossible kind of archetype, so tons of micromanaging control behavior. And then there's also the flip side of control, which is like, don't tell me what to do. I do not follow. I do not take input. What is your perception of a kind of a leader like that and their impact?
Well, if you have to take control of the whole company and micromanage is because inside of you is if I don't do this, oh my God, the company will fall apart. I am responsible. It's all on me. So on the deep root of it, they have had to be probably highly responsible when they were young. And I can't trust. What happens if I fall apart? Oh my God, I have to trust. I have to let go and allow somebody else to do it with all the fears that it may not be your way and it will be a different way it's done. So learning how to let go, learning to delegate, learning to um, give people other space to do it their way as well. So it's a lot to do with high stress to keep all that together. And okay, there's adaptation. One needs to adapt, but also one needs to look at how identified are you if you've been in the Mission Impossible type, and how are you still attached? So we need, okay, we must adapt, but we still got to look inside. Oh, I really enjoyed. I'm really identified when I'm in the Mission Impossible space, or I'm still attached to it. Can I let go of it and allow myself to delegate and come into other multi dimensions of leading and being in this role, because it's always changing.